Should my son or daughter be playing in a team where there's weaker players or where there's stronger players? Again, this is another question we've had brought in from one of our parents. And again, it was from Rick in Hawaii. Rick, a big thank you for sending it in. Now, there's a lot of debate around this, that if your son or daughter's in a squad of players where they're the strongest player, they can get more touches on the ball, they can get on the ball more, and there's a little bit of thinking behind that. That might be a good way to go. Also, there's another methodology of being in a squad of players where your son and daughter is one of the weakest players in the squad, and the challenge is going to help them develop. I'm going to cut to the chase and I'm going to give you the information. Now, how do I know the answer? Well, again, if you haven't seen me or met me before, my name is Raymond Wood. I'm one of the highest qualified football coaches on the planet under UEFA. I'm also a UEFA Player Agent and Ambassador. I've worked in pro football for over 20 years. I've worked for teams like Liverpool, Leicester City, Paris Saint-Germain. I've also been part of the development of players such as Jude Bellingham, Phil Foden, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Reece James, Harvey Barnes. We can go on and on and on. Now, I worked on a super project with the Premier League where they spent £1.6 billion on how to produce superstar world-class players. What we discovered is that you definitely want to be in the bottom 40 percentile of a squad of players. So if you're in the bottom 40%, what that means is you're the bottom 4 players in the group in regards to physical, social, technical, and tactical. Your development is going to skyrocket because everyone around you predominantly is stronger than you, and they're going to challenge you, and it's going to force you to get better. Although you've still got 3 or 4 players in and around you of a similar level where you can get that little bit of success. The magic recipe that we discovered was about 40% of the time you should be getting success, and that builds confidence and breeds winning. But also 60% of the time you should be, as a player, on struggle street. So going back to the original question, if you get an option for your son or daughter or for your nephew or niece, whoever it may be, to play in with a stronger squad of players or a weaker squad, this is the best way to look at it. Most club teams will train 3 times a week or 4 times a week, and then they'll play a game of a weekend. So let's say most elite setups, academies, private academies, you'll do 4 sessions in a week and a game of a weekend. Okay, so that's 5 interactions on the football pitch. 80% of the time, or the 4 training sessions, all right, that's where you spend most of your week. So for me, you're better being in a team where you're one of the weakest players and you get to train 4 times a week, 80% of the time, against better players, because you're going to develop as a superstar. Then when it comes to the game day, a lot of people get caught up in the game day. I don't really get caught up in the game day too much. 80% of your week is on the training ground. That's where you develop a player, okay? The game on a weekend is just the icing on the cake. Now, if you're getting a challenge on a game day, great, that's what you want. But also what kills me is when you can see there's a boy or girl in a squad of players. They are the standout player by a country mile, so they're not getting challenged on training sessions. Then they play in games of a weekend and they're scoring 7 or 8 goals and they're winning 10-0 and they're not getting a challenge. But the parents don't realise you're actually hindering your son or daughter's opportunity to develop. So for me, I would always pigeonhole a player to be in a group of players where 70%, 60% of the players in that squad are stronger. And that should be your decision making. So if you've got a choice for your son and daughter to play at a particular club, actually have a look and be really honest and go, do you know what? I can see that my daughter is probably in the bottom 4 or 5 players. That is the exact place you want to go. I would not get caught up too much with great coaches, especially in certain clubs around the world. Sometimes the environment is far more important that they're in with the, so to speak, the other players, rather than the actual coach. If you've got the environment right and you've got the stronger players around them, having a really good coach for me is a bonus point. But if you have to choose one or the other, I would rather have a really lousy coach that's not coaching great stuff, but as long as they're getting that interaction with players who are stronger. And the big thing is that they're getting lots of touches on the ball as well. So they're just some of the things to balance out what you're looking for. Lots of touches of the ball. And the main thing is your son and daughter's getting a challenge from the squad players around them. If they're not getting a challenge from the squad players around them, this is a major, major issue. And it means your son and daughter is going to become the coach in the session, and they're not going to be the pupil. They're not going to be learning. Okay. So hopefully that answers your question. Again, 60 to 70% of the players around that player, you want to be stronger. So that means you can develop and become a lot stronger. Again, a big thank you from me at the Raymond Wood, and I look forward to your next questions. Again, guys, if you want to ask a question, drop it in the comments below, subscribe, and I'll do a video for you. Thank you.